right, guys, welcome to Rosh Chodesh Club. I am Austin Spear. I am the chef here at Tierra Sur, and this is the people's champ. You know him, you love him, Moshe Nafisi. Going to be cooking some fun stuff for you. Going to be starting off with our nectarine cobbler here, and then going on to our corn pudding, and then onto the star of the show, which is those lovely 20-ounce American prime ribeyes there for you. And everything is going to be cooked on the grill. So, you know, 'tis the season, right?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Chef, what do you say we open up with some bubbly?
I mean, absolutely.
In honor of Rosh Chodesh and Joseph Herzog. So this is the Russian River Method de Champenois, which is one of my favorites.
That's fantastic. I never say no to bubbles.
How could you, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh, all right. Party started. I feel like I could pour freely with Joseph not being here.
No judgment. You can just keep going, keep going.
Can we get a refill? All right. Cheers.
Sir.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right, so why don't we kind of divide and conquer?
Sweet.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so I guess I'll tackle this side and you tackle this side. So
Okay.
first thing you're going to want to do, get these shucked, and then we're going to get those on the grill.
Okay.
We're going to give them just a nice little char before we kind of mix them in.
Cool.
With all the other ingredients.
Awesome.
And what I'm going to do is the nectarines, right? So most of this stuff is all pre-portioned. So sugar, flour, baking powder, baking soda in. And salt, of course.
Now, Chef, most people use like canned corn when they're doing the corn souffle, right? But here we gotta take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, corn is in season. If it's out of season,
Yeah.
you can use canned corn. Also,
Look how beautiful these are.
it's just fresh is better, right? And this way we can give it the little char
Right.
that we want on there, which is really, really nice. So we are in the very beginning of stone fruit season, which for me is super exciting. I love stone fruits, and B, these stone fruit are going to be perfect for this cobbler because they're still a little bit firm, right? And cobbler is great, but when the fruit is mushy, I mean, some people like it that way, but for me, I like there to be a little bit of texture. Why don't you throw those on?
Yeah, I feel like we should go on the hotter grill, right?
Because, yeah.
Boom. Should I get working on the batter while we're waiting for these bad boys to grill absolutely.
Up? So you're going to do pretty much everything.
Okay. Whisk it all together.
Real easy, right? So everything in there, whisk it up, and then we're going to cut that corn off the cob, mix it in there, put it into our little cast irons, and
Sweet.
And get it going.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Easy peasy, right?
Now, is there any rhyme or reason in terms of like what to add first, or just get it all together, or whisk it?
I would add your dry to your wet in this case.
Okay.
So you're on the right track.
It's much easier being out here without any other contestants.
There's no clock, right?
There's no clock.
People aren't trying to get in your head. Okay, so this is going to be for our crumble, right? So the flour, the baking powder, the sugar, the salt. We're going to add in our margarine. Adding in our almond milk. You're just waiting for it to kind of come to that pea size crumble texture, right?
Chef, for the honey, does it make a difference what type of honey we use for this batter? Like raw honey or flavored honey?
And you can use as much or as little as you want. You know, I've said this in the past, recipes are like guidelines. This is baking, but it's not baking, right? So you can mix and match. Just like I said earlier, we're going to be adding those Fresnos and jalapenos, which is not in the recipe, but I like the flavor.
It's going to give it a nice little kick.
Give it a little kick,
Love
and it'll
that.
give it a ton of flavor. Same with those garlic chives; will be super, super nice. You could even substitute the honey if you want to. You could certainly use maple syrup, agave nectar, kind of any sweetener that you want, and it'll all be delicious. How's the corn looking?
We got a while to go.
All right.
Got it nice and charred. Now this was coconut butter that we had in here?
Coconut oil.
Coconut oil, okay.
Yeah. And again, you could substitute that however you'd like. Olive oil would work just fine. Coconut oil is just a little bit more neutral of a flavor. You could also substitute the milk. You know, we used almond milk. We used an extra creamy almond milk.
Right.
But you could certainly use coconut milk. You could give this corn pudding a totally different flavor and go more. Instead of using these chilies, for instance, you could use some Thai chilies, and you could use coconut milk.
Oh, cool.
And totally change the flavor up to be more of like a island vibe.
That would be
More of
very
like a
cool.
Caribbean flavor, or Scotch bonnets. Scotch bonnets are really hot.
Those are really hot, right?
Be careful with those. They have wonderful flavor, though. Actually, that would be super good if we were making instead of steaks, we were making a jerk chicken.
Ooh.
Be amazing.
Maybe for next Rosh Chodesh?
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Now, the good thing with that batter is there's no actual flour in it, so you don't have to worry about building up gluten.
So you could sit here and whisk it all day if you wanted to.
Yeah, you're not gonna hurt it. And when it comes to these nectarines, I am just cutting them into really easily bite-sized pieces.
Nice.
So I think you're good there.
Cool.
You can go ahead and add
I just want to do the chilies now, right?
Yep, chilies and the chives.
Chilies and the chives.
And you can save some of those chives.
Okay.
Maybe half of them. So then
garnish.
we can kind of garnish on top.
Nice. It's coming together really nicely. I love the color of it. It's really, cannot wait to taste this.
It's going to be fun. And the thing to remember about that is, you know, it is not a bread. It is more of a corn pudding.
Yeah.
Right? So those eggs are really going to, it looks really loose, and it is really loose, but those eggs are gonna allow it to kind of set into more of a pudding or a custard-like texture. It'll be super nice.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have our nectarines in here. We're going to add our dark brown sugar. This is our vanilla and our lemon juice.
At what point do we put in the bourbon?
Oh, we're
Asking for the folks at home, obviously.
If you want to
Okay,
go
go.
grab that
Yeah.
bottle,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would be great. All right, and then we have our spices. So here we have cinnamon, ground ginger, a little bit of nutmeg, and then some cornstarch. That cornstarch is really what's going to make this kind of that ooey gooey, super delicious.
Yum. Now, do we want to like mix this all together and let it sit for a little bit, or?
Yep. So what we're doing right now is called macerating. right? So when you put sugar onto fruit, it draws out all of the, well, not all of it, but it draws out a lot of the liquid. And it's going to, it makes its own sauce because of that.
Nice.
And you want to add a little splash of that in here?
Sure. For the folks at home, that drop bourbon smells unreal.
Perfect.
All right. Oh, there we go. Got some more airflow in there?
Yep.
All right.
These are some cast iron, ramekins.
Cool. Okay. Oh, man. Now I see we have 2 of each. Does that mean that we get to actually eat this after the show's over?
Absolutely. What's the point?
Oh, nice. Okay. And we have 2 bottles on the table, so I think it's be a perfect pairing.
It's going to be fun.
All right.
It looks like we got enough for one more. Maybe someone else will enjoy it.
And then what's usually like the, I'm gonna call it the cook time, but I guess the grill time on these bad boys, like once you put them in?
So, if you have a gas grill, this is going to be much easier for you. We're using wood fire, right? So kind of keeping those temperatures where we want them. But you're going to want to set it to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep.
And then it should take about 20-ish minutes, 20, 30 minutes for this to be fully cooked and ready to go.
Nice. Check out.
All right, so we're gonna take these, put them in the oven. These are probably going to take the longest, about 30 minutes, like I was saying. And the corn pudding is gonna take around 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, just for those eggs to kind of set. So we're gonna get these started.
Oh man, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, right?
Yep.
And that's gonna kind of take on, if you have again, gas grill is gonna be easier, right? Because you're gonna be able to control that temperature a little bit more. But wood fire grill, we have some white oak that we use. We also use mesquite, and that's gonna impart so much flavor into these.
It's gonna take it over the next level.
Take it over the top, right?
Nice. All right. So you said that's white oak and mesquite, right? So
Yep.
you always use like a combo?
Yep. So we use white oak is our wood of choice here, and then we use mesquite for charcoal.
Nice.
Mesquite charcoal.
That's great. At home, I love using like pecan wood. I know it's like a little bit probably on the pricier side, but combination of white oak and pecan, I think really is just, you get that like extra sweetness coming out of the pecan wood. It just really
absolutely.
has a crazy level of flavor.
Almond wood, I love just them.
Almond wood is great, yeah.
And here in California, we have a lot of almond trees. At least in Central California, that's for sure.
All right, chef, let me go check on the corn, see how we're holding up here.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Nice.
Perfect.
All right. Let's do this. Now, chef, I feel like it's the summer. We're grilling. We're having fun. Is there any reason not to get a little crazy and add some of this dead drop bourbon to our...
There's every reason to do that.
Every reason to do it.
To do it,
All right.
absolutely.
My man.
Yeah, I mean, look, like we've said, right? Cooking.
You gotta experiment.
Gotta experiment.
Flex those muscles.
You know. Recipes are like guidelines.
Right. You know what? I say that the same thing about the speed limit. It's just a suggestion. You want to pour a little bit, pour a little more. That's why I don't like to bake. Because with baking, you got to be exact. But in the kitchen, especially out in the barbecue,
I very much so agree. I don't know about the whole speed limit thing, You know, 10. I don't go 10 over. 10 over is my max.
Okay. No comment.
What's the rule?
No comment.
California, the rule is the speed of traffic.
Oh, there you go.
Is the speed limit.
So, funny story. I actually tried that once when I got pulled over with my wife in the passenger seat and my baby girl screaming her head off, who is actually 15 and a half now. And I was like, officer, I was just keeping up with traffic. He's like, who were you keeping up with? Yeah. So I tried it. It didn't work. I got a ticket. And but hey.
Well, I can tell you on the California DMV license exam test, it's a trick question. And
oh, is it?
The answer is the speed of traffic. It's what's the speed limit? Is it the speed limit? Is it 5 under? Is it 5 over?
Right.
Or is it the speed of traffic? And the answer is the speed of traffic. Yeah.
Man, it's been so long, but honestly,
it is the speed of traffic, though, not
right. Not do not set the speed.
Yeah.
Do not set the speed of traffic, but the speed of traffic. All right, so now that we got the corn here, I just want to kind of give it another little whiskey whisk.
Yep.
And then just straight into our pan.
Straight in. Yep. And I'd say just make sure that you have enough liquid
on top, right? Or
leftover
liquid ratio. What do you mean leftover?
Well,
talk to me.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong here?
To
corn ratio.
Exactly.
So how do you ever, like, if you're an amateur like me, not winning skillet twice, how do you figure this out at home?
Again,
how am I doing? Is it just love?
I think it's just by feel.
Just feel it. Okay.
Yeah. I think you're good.
How are we doing here? All right. I love the color, by the way. Great little tip with the
yellow.
So what do we got? We have we have
got
Fresno and
jalapenos
jalapeno.
Fresnos. Yeah. And you don't have to do. You could do one or the other or both, or you could change up the peppers.
Oh man. Okay. Can I get these guys next to your cobbler?
Yes.
All right. Let's do this.
Perfect.
All right. Sweet.
All right. Night.
Let's do it. Night.
Come back in 15-20 minutes, and those should be perfect.
So what do we got? We got to clean up and then on to the main attraction, right?
Absolutely.
The ribeye.
So what we're gonna do our ribeyes 2 ways. Well, 2 ways.
Talk
Two
to me.
different seasonings, right? So we're gonna go classic salt and pepper, and then we're gonna do a little homage to old school.
I can almost smell it. I know where you're going with this. Yeah, it's delicious.
It's very fragrant, right? So we have salt, pepper, and then the secret ingredient for Tierra Sur past was salt, pepper, fennel powder.
Ooh.
Which is just fennel seeds, put in the blender, grind it up, super nice, which is in here. But we're also adding a little garlic powder and a little coriander. I love coriander, it's absolutely fantastic. All these spices, by the way, we toast them first.
So chef, walk us through, what do you mean when you say toast spices? How do we do that at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could do it on a sheet tray when we're talking about toasting spices. We're talking about whole spices.
Got it.
Right, whole peppercorns, whole coriander, whole fennel seed. But what we like to do here is in a pan.
Ooh.
Just because, and no oil, nothing like that. It's just a dry toast, and you can really control everything that way. You can see it. I don't know how many times I can tell you I have put spices aside, putting crostinis in the oven, and then you get sidetracked.
Just forget about it.
Oven and they're gone. It takes 2 seconds for them to just be too much, right? So with the spices, we just do it in a pan, dry pan.
Cool.
Real fast. And when they're done, have something, a plate, a sheet pan, another pan, whatever you'd like, to put the spices into that. You want it into a cold or room temperature vessel, because if you were to just take them off and put them to the side, they're going to keep cooking because that pan is still hot.
Got it. So you want like a cool, cold pan to put it into kind of stop the cooking process.
You're done and they're done. Right?
And then do you want to wait for them to be cool before you grind them up, or?
Yeah.
Got it.
At least cool enough to the touch.
Got it.
Where you can touch them. And when they're done, you'll be able to tell. You'll start to get a toasty color, but the biggest thing is really just the fragrance of it.
The fragrance that you're smelling, right?
Yeah, when you're kind of tossing them around, that fragrance kind of comes through, and then they're done.
Cool.
So that's that.
Awesome.
Cool. So we're gonna season these and throw them on the grill.
Let's do it.
You want to do the honors?
Sure, I'd love to. But before, just look at this beautiful marbling, and this is something that you probably don't get in like imported meats, right? So that's why it's super important. You want a great finished product, you want to start with
so this
quality
is,
beef.
This is 100% Black Angus. It is American beef, so this is grass-fed, grain-finished beef. So what that means is this animal grew up in the fields, right? Doing its cow thing, eating grass and all the things that they're supposed to do. And then towards the end, they start introducing things like grain and corn into it to kind of give it that much more marbled look. So you can kind of see you have that, what's called intramuscular and outramuscular fat. So the outramuscular is kind of these larger veins that separate the areas. So we were actually talking about earlier today off camera, the two areas of the ribeye, right? So you have my favorite part, right?
I'm with you there. I'm with you. Take it away,
the
Chef.
crescent right here, and then also this little
fat cap right there.
It's fantastic. And then you have the eye of the ribeye, the baseball steak, the Spencer steak. In the center here, it's the rib eye, right? It's the eye of the rib.
I feel like this is the piece that like I just slice off for myself as I'm taking things off the grill on a Sunday barbecue, and like nobody really even knows about it, but you're like, if I'm slaving over this heat, I'm taking this piece.
With a thinner cut of meat, those just happen to fall off.
Right. It's easier to get away with that than
these thicker ones. These
thicker ones.
1.5 to 2 inch thick cut. They're 20 ounces.
Right.
They're awesome. Those are going to stay intact, which is really nice.
Cool.
But yeah, these pieces here.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite. That little tail piece. It's just the best.
So how should we? Do you want to should we do like 2 and 2?
Yeah.
We'll do an old school,
absolutely.
just salt and pepper, and then.
Of course, and the thing to remember too with seasoning, right? It's different on a grill than on a pan. So this is a thick cut of meat. You're going to want to put a lot of seasoning. But with a grill, you're going to lose. Imagine that you're going to lose 50%
of the seasoning.
Yeah,
it's just going to fall off.
It's going to fall through the grates. So we're going to season these heavily. If you're cooking cast iron skillet, which is one of my favorite ways to cook at home, when I don't want to get the grill out and do the whole thing,
sure,
you're not going to want to season as heavily because that's going to stick, right?
Right.
The other thing I wanted to talk about too is these steaks. Because they are so thick, we have brought them up to room temperature. I think in the grilling community, there's do you cook your steaks cold? Do you bring them up to room temp? Do you season before? So kosher meat specifically, don't season before.
Right.
The meat's already pre-salted, right? There's no need to season before. That's my thing. And with these, because they're so thick, we're gonna bring them up to room temp. If they were thinner, if they're about an inch or less,
then you could go cold on the grill.
I go cold because I want my steak, personally, I want my steak medium rare to medium when it comes to a ribeye, because there's all of this ultramuscular fat. Right?
You want that fat to kind of render out,
exactly,
right?
Exactly, yeah. So I want my steak medium rare to medium, and to achieve that and get a really nice crust on the outside without overcooking it, you gotta go cold to hot. But because these are so thick, I think we can bring them up to room temp.
All right, let's do it.
So yeah, get after it.
Cool. All right. So now, does it make a difference? I usually like to start with salt. Does it make a difference on how people do it? Do you do salt first?
I would do salt first. What that does is it draws out moisture, which then allows the pepper to stick, and that's kind of how I think about it.
And then you want to kind of, I feel like a lot of people don't do this, but like you got to get the
edges.
You got to get the edges
all the way around.
How am I doing? Is that good?
Looks
good
great.
Salt ratio?
Yeah,
that's good,
great.
right? All right. Now with pepper, it's kind of tricky, especially if you're going like high heat, because it can burn and kind of give it like a funky burn flavor to your steak. So how do we manage that at home?
So we kind of start with high heat when we're cooking here, and kind of set in that crust, and then put it off to the side and do indirect heat.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And allow that steak to come up to temperature. We also, here at the restaurant specifically, we will bring our steaks. Let's say you order a medium, right?
Right.
We'll bring our steaks 10 to 15 degrees below that.
You mean that's when you pull them off the grill?
When you pull them off. then we bring them inside. And we have a heat lamp just to keep things warm, but that's where we let them rest. And we let our steaks rest for at least 10 minutes, minimum. And then right before we send them, we put them on a cast iron, shoot them in the oven for just about a minute and a half.
And that's what, just to give it a nice...
To just bring them back up to temp.
Back to temp.
Yeah,
right.
you know, people want a steak, they want it hot. Even when they get a rare steak, they want that steak hot. And when you're talking about a rare steak, there's no way that I can get that interior hot, but at least I can get the outside.
Sure.
So we'll just kind of bring that back up to temp right before putting it on the plate and sending it.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Now for the old school, this is just salt, and I'm gonna. Do we do pepper on this also, or we're just gonna go straight to the?
And we're gonna do.
All right. I'm gonna let you take over. Why not?
All right, let's go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have it on these grates because it can fall through.
Right. Not make a huge mess everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're going heavy with that secret spice blend that Tierra Sur is so well known for. But you actually kicked it up a little bit for barbecue season, right?
I like the garlic powder. I think it's nice, and I also really like. I've recently fell in love with coriander.
Coriander, I feel like, is one of those like sleeper ones,
unless
you're like a Sephardic Jew that uses it and everything.
Yeah.
But like I love making my own pastrami at home.
Yeah.
And my wife like sometimes opens up the spice cabinet and she's like, "Why do we have 15 things of coriander?" I'm like, "Babe, trust the process." The problem is like every Passover when we clean out, we still have like 4 or 5 of them left over, and it's just like taking up space. But
yeah, believe it or not, the thing that made me fall in love with coriander was a local restaurant, and they for a while there they were putting it on their ice cream.
Oh, no way.
So they were taking coriander and frying it, and it gets nice and crispy and like whole coriander.
No way.
And you can just eat it that way. And then they were putting it onto their vanilla ice cream with
almost
some
as like
olive oil.
a topping.
It was
wow.
It was out of this world. Changed my life.
I feel like you got to do that here. Maybe a summer special we just came up with, right?
Summer special, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Now, can you tell us, like at home, how we? Because I feel like sometimes you can kind of gauge how hot like if we don't have a cool, trusty gauge, there's like a way to kind of gauge how hot your grill is, right? By like feeling it, or how many seconds you could keep your hand over without pulling it off and dying.
There's that way. Really, kind of what I mean, if you can see kind of what we've done here with our coal setup, on the left hand side, we've kind of built it up.
Right.
So we're going to get a really high heat over here, and then we've brought it down over here so we can get kind of that.
This is like the low temp indirect heat that you were talking about before,
so we're
right?
going to get like a nice sear over here. So we kind of have that kind of high heat over here, low heat over here. With this grill in particular, this is, if you have a gas grill, right? Super easy. Turn your 2 burners on over here, high heat. Turn 2 burners over here, low heat, and then you can move your steaks. Super simple. But here we have to control the flow of oxygen.
Which kind of makes part of like, I mean, at least for me, like I feel like it's summer, I'm out with my grill, I'm just like a little kid playing with fire.
Yeah.
Like you got to just kind of get in the flow of it, and sometimes like, you know, you figure it out. Sometimes it's hard to manage, but it's part of the fun. And the flavor wise, like, gas grills are easy, but can't top it.
It's much better, but you got to have the time,
right,
and the patience, and a glass of wine or a beer,
bourbon, a cigar,
whatever you got. Yeah,
certainly helps. Yeah,
absolutely. One thing you do want to watch out for with these steaks in particular, ribeyes, like we were talking about earlier, lots of ultramuscular fat. You want to watch out for flare-ups, which is what we just got over here, because that fat is going to render right onto those coals.
Wow, look how beautiful that looks.
So if you can see kind of that flare-up right there.
Which is now, you don't want actual, like I feel like it's important to mention that, like, especially if somebody's not used to cooking with wood or charcoal, you do, actually, like when you first light it, you want to let the fire kind of totally die out, and you get this like white ashy look, right? Because if you just have like flames coming up, you're done.
It would give you that burnt. You can still, like, for instance, if you're somebody who likes their steak charred, you can still get a char like this.
Right.
But it's going to be a much more even cooking, and it's not, the char is going to be pleasant. It's not going to taste like ash or like soot. So Yeah, and I think that's where people get it wrong. Is they're wanting to get that char on there so they get all that flame, and they're like, well, why does my steak taste?
They go too early. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're just gonna kind of let these go.
I'm excited.
And, we'll see you guys in a few minutes. All right. So I think it's about time. It's been about 5-6 minutes.
About Ooh, really small.
Flip these guys.
Woo! And just for our viewers at home, this is the one that's got the
yes. So on this side,
fennel seed.
Exactly.
Man.
Fennel seed, coriander, garlic powder. This side is just the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of almost see like how it like caramelizes browns as opposed to like a black char that you would get from just straight flame.
Exactly.
Man.
And when we were talking about earlier, kind of rendering that fat down,
right?
You can see that happening towards the edges here, right? Those kind of crispy little bits. That with a ribeye, right? The cut of meat itself, it has a lot of fat.
Yeah.
The point to me of enjoying a ribeye is the fat. The fat is flavor.
Totally.
Right. There's the intra and the outramuscular fat that we were talking about earlier. But it's not cutting that fat away. It's cutting your piece of meat, cutting the fat, eating them together, marrying them together, every single piece. Because like you saw when they were raw, you had that large eye that's so lean. And some people can think it comes across dry, right? Especially if you like your steak more like medium well done. Well, that's when you're supposed to kind of dig into this fat and eat the two together.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
That's also why we like to savor that piece for ourselves behind the grill. But I feel like with this barbecue, there's really only one thing that's missing, and what I like to do at home is fire up one of these bad boys. Yeah, I sure did. I did. Now, I feel like maybe I should get in, but it might be a little bit risky, but gotta just light this up.
You'll find you a torch, I'm sure.
And enjoy the barbecue. Yeah, I feel like there's plenty of fire around us, so I'll figure it out.
Perfect. All right, we're gonna let these go for a couple minutes. Actually, why don't you come over here? We'll just take a peek.
Let's see how we're doing on our dessert and our starter. Wow, look at that.
We're getting some nice bubbly deliciousness here.
You could almost smell that bourbon coming through together with the nectarine, right, and the sugar.
100%.
Oh man.
We're just gonna let these go for a couple more minutes.
Now at home, like how do we know? How do we gauge done, not done? Is this going to be running on the inside?
Yeah.
Do we want to use a thermometer? Or what are we doing?
You can absolutely use a thermometer or not. I'm just going to use my finger, right? And it's almost set. Mm-hmm. This one's a little farther than that one, so you kind of have to use your intuition. This one here, the crust is almost baked through, and obviously you can see the bottom is nice and bubbly. So we're just going to cover this for maybe a couple more minutes.
Cool.
2, 3, 4 minutes.
All right.
And it'll be absolutely done.
Let's do it.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. It's about that time. We're just going to pull these off, let them rest for a minimum of 10 minutes, especially with them being as thick
super hot and it's thick, yeah.
Yeah. And we're pulling these off at about 115, 120.
Because ideally you want it to like the 134 or 135
range. We're going to carry over. Yeah, we're going to carry over at least 10 degrees, which is going to be a perfect medium for us. And then we're going to pull these guys off, right?
Also super, super hot, right?
Super hot, super hot. And great thing about these cast irons is they're going to give us a little bit of grace in the sense where we can pull them off right now, and they're going to keep everything nice and hot. But as you can see, this is, I mean, in there, you can literally see it bubbling right now. It's lava hot, right?
Yeah.
And that's hot sugar. It's
almost like turning into caramel.
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to let that kind of come down to something that's not going to burn your mouth.
Sure.
And we're just going to let these all kind of chill out for about 10-15 minutes.
Cool.
And then it's time to eat.
Let's do it.
Super excited.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, see you guys soon. All right, so while these steaks are resting, obviously we pulled everything off the grill, but I think you had a pretty great idea here.
I got a great, listen, we're out here, we're barbecuing, we got the torch. Let's light these bad boys on fire.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna just put a little bit of sugar on top, just for fun.
A little brulee.
A little brulee action. Never killed anybody. How about that? Is that good?
Allegedly.
Let's go. Well, we're about to find out, right? Should we do we need to do a disclaimer, like try this at home at your own risk?
Sure, yeah. I think
Make
you
sure
just
there's
did
no
it.
kids around,
I
yeah.
think you just did it.
Just whatever you do,
For
do
adults only.
not do it with a cigar in your mouth. Ooh, look at that. Now, besides cool movie magic, like this is just going to give it a nice little.
Yeah, I mean, when it's hitting the actual crust, it's giving it a char flavor. When it's hitting the sugar, it's caramelizing, and it's also going to give it a nice crunch on top. I think it'll be nice.
Now, it's much easier to do this in a cast iron. If you don't have these in a cast iron, whatever you've got it on might catch on fire. So proceed at your own risk,
Yeah.
if I may say.
All right, I think we're good
All
on
right.
those. Perfect.
Let's do it.
Perfect. And then these we just finished off. If you remember in the beginning, we saved some of those garlic chives. We just drizzled them on top, and just kind of bring in some freshness. But yeah, should we get slicing these steaks?
Let's dig in.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? But before we dig in, we're here at Tierra Sur, part of the
How could we
Herzog family.
forget?
How could we forget?
This was your pick, right?
This is actually one of my favorites, the 2016 Rutherford Cab. Phenomenal bottle from Napa. I'm gonna crack this open. Now, usually, I feel like Joseph's not here, so we could probably skip this part, but you want to open this up, you want to kind of give it some time to breathe, aerate a little bit, but
Yeah, we were kind of having a little bit too much fun,
Yeah.
I think. We forgot.
let's say he's opened. Where's Joseph when you need him? He's much better at this than I am. Here we go. All right, Chef, I'm gonna pour yours first.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Smells amazing.
Delicious. Okay. Now you want to slice these against the grain?
It's a ribeye. You're good. I think you're good.
I still have nightmares about it till this day. Oh man, look at that, beautiful. You know what? Let me. I'm gonna get the dessert wine open because for dessert we're gonna do something else over here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna do the late harvest Chenin Blanc.
All right, so here we have our coriander, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and then this is just the salt and pepper here for you. Kind of a perfect medium here.
Wow.
It's gonna be a fun one. And then these we're just gonna serve right alongside. All right, so I think we should dig in and enjoy. But remember, you gotta try both.
Time has come. Yeah.
Salt and pepper. And then this is our coriander, fennel powder, all that good stuff.
Should we go with the S&P first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Oh, look at that. Should we show them?
I don't know if this
folks
comes
at home?
through on camera, but it's pretty perfect.
That's a beautiful looking piece.
Here, and we spoke about how this is both of our favorite.
Yeah.
So
Right down the middle.
it's right down the middle.
All right. Cheers. L'chaim.
L'chaim. That was way too big of a bite, but it's really good.
You know what? We're out here. We got the fire, rough and tough. That's how you go. There's really nothing better than a perfectly grilled ribeye and a great glass of wine to go with it. Okay. I'm gonna mix it up. We'll go in some of the the corn souffle that you made here. We'll use this almost like, could we say this is a palate cleanser before we go to the
Yeah, why not?
different steak? Why not, right?
Yeah, it's almost between like a souffle or a pudding or a quiche almost.
Wow. The sweetness of the corn really comes out. We got the spice of the chilies. I'm definitely looking forward to making this at home with my family. This is gonna be great.
Oh yeah, that fresh corn. Mm-hmm. I know we talked about how you could use canned over fresh, but with this you can really tell that it's fresh.
Yeah, it really comes through. You got the crunch of the
Flavor, but texture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. It's not like soggy, mushy that you would get from a canned corn.
Yeah. And for you at home, the spice, this is not spicy at all.
Totally not. No, absolutely not.
The Fresnos and the jalapenos, they're bringing more, I mean, there is like a background heat, but they're bringing a lot of flavor to this dish.
Yeah.
And color and texture. But especially if you're careful in your preparation to take the ribs out and the seats. If you like it to have a lot more of a kick, leave them in. But if you're careful to take those out, this is just going to add a wonderful depth of flavor to your dish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But really, I mean, I think the fresh corn is the star of this dish.
Yeah.
It's really coming through.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I really like those garlic chives.
And again, really, I mean, the truth is, like, you know, for our viewers at home, they could really mix and match.
Yeah,
Any
all
ingredient
the
they want in this,
flavors,
right?
Like we were talking about earlier, you can mix and match the sweeteners, the different oils, even the peppers,
Yeah.
to make it have a different flair here and there. This would be great. I mean, we did honey in this, but it'd be fantastic with maple syrup. And that's maybe not in the summertime, but if you were to make this towards the end of corn season or during the fall with maple,
Oh, that'd be great.
killer, right? And then top it with some lamb bacon with the maple syrup. Yeah.
You're talking my jam. I cannot get enough of this. Let's get a little bit more before we go on. You're already on to the next steak, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I couldn't wait. I think that one's my favorite.
I'm right behind you. You know, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people are, I don't know if I feel like they're scared to use fennel seed, but when you use it here, it's almost like, it's not overpowering, it's almost like just a faint flavor that like lingers in the background.
Yeah. Background is a good word for that, I think. It's something that just brings it up a level where if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't know it was there, but you're sitting there like, huh, that's different.
Right. What is that? Right.
Yeah.
Can't quite put my finger on it.
And I think the fire, it being on the outside, it really mellows down those licorice tones. Yeah, it's delicious.
Awesome.
I think this is my winner.
I'm chef. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. What do you think of the wine pairing with the steaks?
I mean, I picked it.
So it better be good, right?
That's right. Yeah. Listen, it's hard to take credit. I mean, the Rutherford is just such a. To me, I feel like it's such a big wine, but when you pair it with old school like ribeye barbecue, I think to me this is literally like just my happy place.
Yeah.
Great wine, great flavors. You've got like high end, rough and tough, right? Like you're cooking on. We cooked on wood. It's just no better way to spend any Sunday or any day with your family.
Should we move on to dessert?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. And I know that we're changing up the wine for that, right?
Yeah. We are actually gonna pair it with the late harvest Chenin Blanc.
Chenin, right?
Yeah. Which again, for our viewers at home, it's a sweet wine. Some people like sweet in general. Some people like it with dessert. I feel like for me, it could go both ways. But again, if you're doing like a Sunday barbecue with your family, what there's no better way to end off the day than a great dessert and a great Chenin Blanc.
Wine is always supposed to be sweeter than the dessert. Otherwise, the sweetness of the dessert just makes the wine taste like alcohol. You lose all the kind of the nuances and things like that. There are some exceptions, you know, if you're real close, it's kind of riding that fine line of. But I'm excited to try this, especially with this late harvest Chenin Blanc having these stone fruit flavors coming through.
Yeah.
With these nectarines. So.
All right, let's dig in.
Let's get after it.
Oh man! Also, we got the cast iron coming right off the grill. We got to make sure it's not too, burn our face off.
Yeah,
but I
it
think
should be
like
nice.
we're good,
It's
right?
been resting a little bit. Now I love the little char on top.
Thank you. I could take credit for that,
Yeah,
right?
that was all you.
See, you did like 99% of the work. I came in.
Comes through in the clinch, you know.
That's it. Yeah, you really do get the. It's interesting how you said like with you want your wine to be sweeter than your dessert, because otherwise it would totally just like overpower it.
Yeah, it kind of drown out. But I think these go well, and this stone fruit, these nectarines really complement that stone fruit that's coming through in the wine. I think when you taste it originally by itself, if somebody says that word, stone fruit, peaches, nectarines, plums, you go, oh yeah, I can get that. And then you have this dessert, and then have the wine, and you go, oh
And then
yeah,
it just clicks.
wow, yeah.
Yeah. A little known fact, my friends know this about me. This is my go-to dessert on our Sunday barbecues when we host. Just get this on the skillet, like exactly how we did it here, and it's literally the perfect way.
It's perfect.
To end the
it's
day.
easy. It's delicious. It's a good time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
really enjoyed it. Thanks, Chef.
Anytime. Yeah. And we'll see you guys again soon. Hope you enjoy.